Good evening, and welcome to Sex for Her Health and Happiness. I'm your host, Gloria Coney, educating, empowering, employing, healing. That is our mission, and that is our responsibility. Tonight, we are talking about sex of self with my two guests, who are Kelly Ryan, I'm getting ready to point to the wrong line, facilitator, sex of self, and Dana Fidel, facilitator also, sex of self. Thank you both for coming. I'm so pleased that you were able to join me this evening. And folks, they come all the way down from Portland, Maine, and they are sex of self. They are a perfect match for this show. When I read their information, I said, I just really need to get these two women on this show. And I was reading the literature, and I said, they are really about empowerment. And that's what this show is about. But people say, sex, empowerment, what does that mean? Well, we're going to tell you today exactly this evening what that means. I want to read you something from their literature. Sex is fundamental for many of us. The different facets of sex remain unexplored and unspoken. Our sexuality and how we feel in this realm can be a mirror for how we are functioning in other aspects of our lives. In the journey to discover what is important and true in ourselves, our sexuality says a lot. Empowerment is no easy task. Ideas surrounding sex are often not our own. They are inherited from our histories, our parents, our cultures, and sometimes unlearning becomes an essential part of our evolution. Ladies, it is a responsibility, not an obligation, to respond to the need that we all have to make sex a good, healthy, and rewarding part of our lives. Am I representing you all well?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah,
so tell me, Kelly, Dana, why are you so drawn to sex education?
I have always been in some social justice work throughout my life. In college, though, I was a peer educator for the American Red Cross, and I noticed amongst my peers that there was just a lot of misinformation out there about how to have safe sex, about their anatomy, bodies, and it was just a really interesting mission to be able to re-educate and inform. So it always stayed with me. Talking about sex with friends and fellow women.
They probably said, oh, here she comes again.
People would seek me out. Being sought after to talk about important issues such as sex has really been a life goal and really important to me. And throughout similar work, just connecting with people throughout my life, I just felt more and more called to it. So this part of the social justice and getting to know ourselves as humans, I just felt that it was something that I really wanted to focus on for the rest of my life. And meeting Kelly was really important. And we started this business called Sex of Self and workshop series, where we can sit around with all different kinds of women and talk about how to change our lives and make them for the better. That's my story.
So how long have you all been in business?
Well, we met in May, so we actually just started this set of classes, I don't know, 4 or 5 weeks ago.
Yeah, wow, you all just seem so natural.
Yeah.
Together.
And we've been working on the classes basically we met and then we spent weeks, like almost every day together.
We've been in a relationship since May, and all we do is stimulate each other, with talking about sex.
I love to hear that. Yeah. And so, can you talk a little bit about these workshops, what you do in these workshops? I'm telling you, I read the title, I said, wow. Then I would start reading the information. We've had shows on misrepresentation of women. We've had so many different kinds of shows. And your workshops are touching on all of the shows that I've done.
Wow, that's great
Cool.
to hear. Dana and I started to sit together and talk about what was important to us. And I, coming from a little bit of a different angle, because I don't have the same background in terms of, I just came to sexuality through really my own self-exploration and wanted to find a way to feel more sexually alive. And in conversations with Dana, we sort of needed to break down, like, well, what are the important elements of sexuality? What do we want to cover? And, talking about boundaries and being able to communicate clearly what is important to us and what we want is sort of fundamental to actually getting what we want and experiencing our bodies and our sexuality the way we want to. So I'm not sure even what else I want to say about that. I don't know if you want to add to that.
When you talk about you come at this a little bit differently than Dana, I think many women can relate to that.
Yeah.
I'm not going to tell this story today, but every time I tell this story about me, everybody here blushes. They said, when you walk down the street, people are going to know your business.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
Right.
But we have to tell our stories.
Right.
Yeah.
We
Right.
have to do that.
Yeah.
And so when we come about it naturally and we can talk about the mishaps and this, I think it's much more meaningful to the people. I'm not, discrediting you in any way now, but that's what I think. That's part of what both of your histories meshing together.
Yeah. I'm a strong. We both come from an angle of education, but Kelly has really embodied what it means to be a sexuality educator. She's really experienced a lot in her life in terms of self-exploration, and I'm coming at it from like a more academic stance of just like giving people choices and like thinking about them, and even just simple like anatomy instruction. So I went through a certification.
How many of us have no idea how many nerve endings we have, and that we have more than the penis? Aren't we lucky?
Right.
Yeah, right.
Lucky.
Yeah.
Well, very fortunate, yeah. So that's a part of what women discover in your workshops.
Yep.
I feel like it's beyond really just learning more about your body. There's a piece in the classes that helps integrate how we actually use our body as an information source, that we can ask our body versus our mind how we feel about something based on how we feel in our gut and how we feel in our heart and what is actually awakened in us when we talk about different topics. And I feel like we don't necessarily live in a culture where we're asked to use our body for all the wisdom it's worth.
We're taught not to trust our bodies to begin with.
Right.
When you talk about our gut tells us not to get in the elevator because that man looks dangerous. But what do? We get in the elevator. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And I think that the more we can focus on, the more we can integrate the body's wisdom with just basic information that we're not given. We don't understand even how our bodies work. On top of it, we don't really tune into how they feel. So combining those two things is part of what Sex of Self is doing. But it's also more importantly, or maybe not more important, but it's combining, it's bringing a conversation that is often not on the table to the table.